Yeah, that's about right.
In a global time of crisis, socially based meetings are considered especially difficult. In separate states, the dedicated dimwits who brave the internet in search of laughs are creating a series of slideshows known as Quarantine Presents. These are their presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and anybody else who may be listening, I am certain you must have heard of the man about whom I am going to speak. He is known as Dr. Seuss.
He was my elementary school principal.
I doubt it. And he is a mastermind. Theodore Seuss Geisel was born on March 2nd, 1904, and he never actually received a doctorate from any of his studies, only going as far as some graduate courses. He published over 60 books in his lifetime, which touched on various subjects such as the importance of environmentalism, racism, authoritarianism, and consumerism. His books also spawned various adaptations of his work in other media, such as both live-action and animated feature films, and a Broadway musical. He also looks kind of like what my dad would have looked like in 10 years or so. So, he could be a distant relative.
Real quick, before we move on, I do want to say the reason I said he was my elementary school principal is because I had a book that had a picture of Dr. Seuss in it, and that picture looked, honest to God, exactly like my elementary school principal, like scarily like him. It scared me as a kid.
That's an interesting thing to be scared about. Anyway.
Little Jason kept up at night by the thought that his elementary school principal might be Dr. Seuss. Well, listen, I'm not judging you. That's terrifying. Who knows what he could be plotting while he's there?
He's always got something up his head, up his noggin. Anyway, I'm not going to waste your time with any more of this boring crap like actual facts and junk. Instead, let's just get right on to the ranks. Actually, we got to thin the herd a bit first. So, I found a few lists claiming to be the complete list of Dr. Seuss books. If you couldn't hear my air quotes, there were air quotes there. None of those truly had the entirety of his collection, save for maybe the Wikipedia bibliography. The books that I've decided to allow through are from a list which was compiled on the website hookedtobooks.com. So let's get hooked to books, baby. Well, actually, this list had a few books in its list of 45 that I can't include because in the case of I Can Draw It Myself, you, the reader, are doing the work instead of Seuss, and books which feature other artists than Seuss, such as Great Day for Up, are disqualified as well. The Pocket Book of Boners was not on hookedtobooks.com's list, but it was Seuss's first published book.
Yeah, yuck it up.
I wanted you to see that exists.
I wanna point out the irony that in the same stack as the Pocket Book of Boners is A Great Day for Up, and I am not going to get up today.
Those titles were in the Pocket Book of Boners. The remaining books in the allowed column are all what people tend to think of when someone mentions Dr. Seuss Mastermind Esquire, the first supreme great fellow genius of the brainiest of brains. All right. Imagine this. It's 1957. You've just published the greatest children's book in the history of probably forever.
Okay.
How do you top it? Do you create something entirely new? Do you retire? Of course not. Neither of those. You idiot. You create a sequel the very next year so that the people for generations can experience more of the feline in headdress. The Cat in the Hat Comes Back is on this list because it is better than its predecessor. Instead of the annoying things, Thing 1 and Thing 2, we have the tiny cats, A through Z. It is far more charming than those things. The thing about this book is that it does not have a terrifyingly horrible movie adaptation starring Shrek as the cat and the Shadow as mom's jerk of a new boyfriend. Needless to say, the whole movie would have been a million times better if everyone was just played by Danny DeVito. Next up, we got Yertle the Turtle, and you know what? Forget about whatever the heck else is in this book because Yertle is the only one that matters. Yertle is what everything is about. That's why he's on the top of the stack. Did you know that Yertle the turtle here is analogous to Hitler?
Please
That
explain.
sounds like a joke, but I don't know enough about Yertle the Turtle or Hitler to just call him out on it.
No, Sam, please expand on that. I gotta know.
So the way that it works is that Yertle the turtle here gets all of his turtle brethren to do his bidding, get underneath him so that he can climb to the top, be at the tippy top of the stack and see everything. That's pretty much what Hitler did with the German people. Anyway,
Kinda.
yeah. Okay, we're not talking about genocide here.
We are on number 9.
Now, when you're out with the boys, don't let your boys be like Yertle. I repeat, do not idolize this turtle. He's a bad guy. Now that that's out of the way, can't you just see little Danny DeVito with a little mustache in that shell? All right, number 8, we've got Dr. Seuss's Sleep Book. Everybody sleeps. That is true. Do not fight me on this. I will make you sleep. I take that back. That sounded a little threatening. Please do not come for me. I am innocent, I promise. In this lovely book, it goes through the nightly routines of a plethora of characters, as well as discussing the bewildering phenomenon of contagious yawning. Yawning is very confusing to scientists. It's so confusing, even Danny DeVito gets in on the action. You can see he's not immune to yawning either. All right, moving right along to number 7, we've got Horton Hatches the Egg. This book was released 14 years prior to its more popular sequel. Horton the Elephant does a great job listening to Who's, because he's got big ears, right? But it's much more funny to see him, the 4-ton pachyderm, sitting on an egg without so much as cracking it.
What's Horton Hatches the Egg analogous to?
Foster parents.
All right.
Anyway, Horton makes a great mother, which would be a great opportunity for Danny DeVito to play the exact opposite type from his character in Matilda. You know, terrible, awful car salesman dad turns into loving, motherly elephant. Beautiful range. We've got number 6, Fox in Socks. Fox in Socks is a challenge. In the beginning, it warns you not to read it too fast, lest you twist your tongue into a knot. But I believe it is a wonderful bit of fun trying to speak aloud the words Lord Mastermind Doctor of something or other Seuss in order to better your speed and diction. Not to mention, Mr. Knox is a real trooper. Anyway, I think Danny DeVito would make a great Mr. Knox or a hilarious Fox in Socks. You know, if you just saw Danny DeVito in a little, like a Grinch suit, but it's like the fox, and he's just like wiggling around. He's like, "Hey, I'm Danny DeVito. I'm a Fox in Socks."
Sam, I can't with
I
you
think
right now.
What? What's
Okay,
wrong?
Continue, please.
Number 5, we've got the Butter Battle book. This book was actually one of my personal favorites. In the Butter Battle book,
The turtle's gonna come for you.
the Yooks eat their bread butter side up, while the Zooks eat theirs butter side down. This difference has caused tension between the two cultures, resulting in an arms race. Throughout the book, they retaliate against one another with increasing intensity until one Yook and one Zook are at a standstill with little bombs in their hands called Big Boy Boomaroos that can obliterate the entirety of the opposing side. There's a wall that separates these two communities, by the way. So they're at a standstill, and that's how the book ends. There is no resolution. That's just how it is. Anyway, I think Danny DeVito would make a great Yook or possibly both, you know, to really hit home the point.
He's the Big Boy Pomeroo.
He's got one right there. Anyway, moving on to number 4, we've got the Lorax. Environmentalism is important, and we need to keep our planet healthy for our own sakes. And the Lorax is just the right orange peanut thing to slap some sense into us. So we know deforestation is no good, but Ed Helms has some issues seeing how bad it can possibly be. I don't see anything else to talk about here.
Man, Tumblr was a great website, you know?
Anyway, take care of the trees or the peanut man will get you. Oh, the places you'll go. This piece of work is brilliantly vibrant, great fantastical scenes in which we find the hero of the story beautiful, colorful. It truly is a shame that the last of Seuss's books released in his lifetime, has not been adapted into a film. Think of all the environments you could create, all the adventures this character could go on. You could have so many different sprawling landscapes. It could make a beautiful animated feature. It could be a great...
There it is.
Great... They could do like a Christmas Carol thing, you know? All right, number 2, we got There's a Wocket in My Pocket. Now, you might be saying, hey, Sam, why did you put this baby book on here with the ridiculous rhymes for babies? And to that, I say you'd be lying to me if you said that you were not afraid of the vug under the rug. Really, just like this child, this hero of this book is. You tell me, if you were in a dark room and all of a sudden there was a vug under your rug, you wouldn't be terrified.
Because you mentioned our main character's fear, just brilliantly captured in his expression there. He's really concerned about that thing just peeking out of the back of his pants.
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly. You know, he likes some of the things in his house, like the Neuro in his bureau. You might be asking, what is a vug? Well, let's find out. Oh, look, it's Danny DeVito. Number 1, we got Green Eggs and Ham. This particular classic is at number 1 because it is important. Have you ever met those people who say, ew, I don't like to eat that, but they've never had a bite ever?
Yeah,
It's dumb, and if you do that, stop it.
Those dinguses who are like, I can't eat peanuts. Have you ever tried one?
You gotta try new things every once in a while, or at least be open-minded enough to entertain the idea that it might be something that you could possibly enjoy. Also, here's a picture of Danny DeVito as Sam I Am.
Is he? Hold on a second. Why is he?
No. I called him up and I said, hey, could you do a little Sam I Am for me? And he's like, sure. And he sent me a picture of him holding a green ham.
What has he got going on? He's in quarantine.
Yeah. But you know, I wasn't really thinking about it before now, but Danny DeVito really seems to fit most of these characters pretty well. Well, apart from the orange peanut guy, of course. You know, similarities there. But how could one person be so perfect for so many characters from so many books? I mean, maybe Danny DeVito could be Dr. Mastermind, the first, the only, forever we will be grateful for your work, you wonderful soul, Seuss. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Hold on.
Does it?
Yes. Take a look at this. Okay. The longest amount of time between Seuss's book releases was 7 years, 1940 to 1947. And Danny DeVito was supposedly born in 1944, right in the middle of that time frame. You see, it goes right there in the middle. If we think about this logically, maybe Seuss was getting shorter. So in the 40s, while he was getting shorter, he thought of a way to save face. So he took that time off from writing his books, illustrating his books, to prepare and plan. Any public appearance of Seuss was a public figure, an actor, as opposed to the actual Dr. Seuss himself. So he could maintain appearances for publicity, but also live his double life as the smaller Italian funny man known as Danny DeVito. It makes perfect sense. They're the same person. That was my top 10 Dr. Seuss books. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. It was good to be here for such a worthy cause. That cause being telling the truth to everyone, you sheeple.
Welcome to my presentation about the top 10 characters who should be in Super Smash Brothers, but will make most people go, who? Let's start off with some ground rules. Character has to have appeared on a Nintendo console. Number 2, character should be from a series not yet represented. There's one exception on this list, but it's technically they're from a different... I'll get into it later. I'll get into it when I get into it. Number 3, the character should be obscure enough that the average gamer would not recognize them by name, possibly even with a picture. We're talking baseline, someone who is familiar with video games, but not that familiar.
They haven't watched the video game movies from the 90s.
Yes, that's correct. And with that, Let's get into the honorable mentions. These are characters I felt were kind of fun, but I couldn't really see them having a moveset at all. But they'd make for good in-game stickers. We got, of course, Pitfall Harry.
What game is he from?
We got our pal Nestor, who Nintendo Power fans of the old days will recognize as the dipshit mascot that they put in all of their comics. But he's never been the main character. He doesn't really have much of a backstory or anything. He's just some weirdo. We got Master Higgins from Adventure Island. We got Little Samson from Little Samson, which is an NES game I'm sure no one of us has heard of except for me. Orchid from Killer Instinct. Not that obscure, I guess, but I feel like most people don't know the Killer Instinct cast by name. So yeah, that's our first layer of honorable mentions.
I've heard of Little Samson before.
Have you, Sam?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm impressed.
Corey, that's literally
Yeah,
all you
I've-
talk about
I've-
when
I've-
we're drinking together.
Our next tier of honorable mentions are ones that I felt would make decent assist trophies. You know, they don't quite have enough going on for a full move set. You got Peter Pepper, also known as the Burger Time Chef, the magnanimous master of video games himself, Abobo from Double Dragon. You got Bill Reiser from Contra. You got Bad Mr. Frosty from Clay Fighter. Kunio-kun, who's the star of his own game series that's mostly popular in Japan, might know it over here in the States as either the River City Ransom series or Crash and the Boys.
That's our name for ourselves.
And then, you got Goemon over here, the mystical ninja himself.
Right on.
But enough of that shit. Let's get down to brass tacks.
Get that stuff out of here.
Dragon's Lair, a fantasy adventure where you become a valiant knight on a quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of an evil dragon. You control the actions of a daring adventurer finding his way through the castle of a dark wizard who has infested it with treacherous monsters and obstacles. In the mysterious caverns below the castle, your odyssey continues against the awesome forces that oppose your efforts to reach the Dragon's Lair. Lead on, adventurer. Your quest awaits. Dragon's Lair.
That is an S-tier Philips CDI game.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Whoa. Here we go. Number 10, Dirk the Daring from Dragon's Lair.
I put way more work into this than I put into mine.
Now, I'm not gonna bog this down with every character's full move set. If you want to go through all the details, you folks at home can pause the video and read as much as you like. But basically, I feel like the main reason that I feel like Dirk should be in Smash is because it would be super wild to have a hand-drawn animated character in Smash Brothers. I mean, we've already got Game & Watch, who is two-dimensional, but why not take it the extra little bit? Why not just go for it, go full hog? And also, imagine how good the stage would look. Imagine doing 8-player Smash in a Don Bluth stage where there's like dragons and wizards and space aces and time machines going all over the place, and you don't know what's going to happen. Downsides, though, is mostly just that I feel like his moveset wouldn't be that interesting. He's just another sword man. But he'd look good. He'd look damn good.
Oh, Mystic Quest.
What is this game?
Benjamin, otherwise known as the hero from Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Now, I do want to talk about my disclaimer at the beginning. Technically, yes, there is already a Final Fantasy character in Smash. However, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is not only a bizarre outlier in the Final Fantasy series, it's also not actually part of the Final Fantasy series. It was originally part of the Secrets of Mana series in Japan. I believe it was called Legends of Mana, or something along those lines. When it got brought to the US, they gave it the Final Fantasy title because they assumed it would sell better. And basically, old Benny Boy here, I feel like he'd be a good addition because he uses a lot of different weapons in his game. And also, I don't know if you've ever listened to the music from Final Fantasy Mystic Quest,
I just did it.
but it slaps.
Yeah,
All
it
of it
does.
slaps. And quite frankly, it is a travesty that when Cloud got added to Smash, we only got 2 Final Fantasy songs. Move right along, we gotta keep cracking.
Oh shit. She'd be so weak.
My castle. What has happened?
My castle! What has happened?
Graham from King's Quest.
It took him a second to realize that his fucking house was gone.
So King's Quest, a very popular series at the time. The main thing I want to talk about, and the reason I want to see Graham in Smash Brothers, is because we need a character, we need a representative in Smash who uses point-and-click adventure mechanics in the middle of the fight.
Death by narration.
God.
We need him to pick up items and put them in his inventory and use those to solve his problems. And in this case, by solve his problems, I mean kill everyone around him. We need a point-and-click adventure character in Smash Brothers. I think it would be wacky and different and hilarious.
You can't kill in
and
Smash
just-
Brothers because it's only for good boys and girls.
And just in case you're wondering, yes, Graham has been on a Nintendo console, moving right along.
I've liked everyone on the list so far.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's bad. What happened?
Yes.
Goblin.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Oh,
My
it keeps
friend's
going.
trying to kill me. Why? Can not.
Hockey and Rocky
Yes, please.
from
I-
the Super Nintendo game of the same name.
I agree 100%. Put them in Smash.
Their
The,
stage is top down.
these two are adorable. They're shmup characters, so they've got plenty of lightning fast moves and projectiles to throw at you, which I'm sure will be horrible and oppressive online, but it makes for a fun character for us casuals who don't give a shit. A tiny shrine maiden and a tanuki can be friends, people at home. Just in case you thought there was no hope in the world.
I mean, if we don't have Tom Nook, we might as well have this fella.
We might as well.
Yeah.
We might as well. And unlike Tom Nook, as you can see, Rocky is not a coward and goes about without pants.
Game theory is Tom Nook a Nopino goblin?
He might be. He might be at that.
I mean, in most cases, Tom Nook just wore an apron. Like, that was it.
Another interesting thing about this character, as I would conceptualize them, is that they would be one character, sort of similar to Ice Climbers, where they're both on screen at the same time. But unlike Ice Climbers, they would actually have slightly different moves, and you would be able to switch between them as far as which one was in the lead and which one was just sort of following along.
Like a Donkey Kong Country sort of situation.
Yeah, very much like a Donkey Kong Country situation.
That guy looks like an elementary school teacher.
He is an elementary school teacher.
Huh? Well, he was.
Put Sad Robot in Smash.
Wonder Red,
You're well
the
done.
Crimson Fist.
Yes.
I mean, this just speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Wonderful 101 is an amazing game that was doomed by launching on it's not a horrible console, but a mediocre console that not many people bought, and therefore not many people got to experience the Wonderful 101. They've recently ported the game to Switch. Good on them. Good on you, Nintendo. It's one of the best games from your library. Why not step it up a notch, though, and give my boy Wonder Red some love in the Smash Brothers department. And of course, for his moveset, wanted to include some homages to the rest of the Wonderful 100. Anyway.
This might be the first one I don't know.
$1990X.
Bang and Mary.
Yeah, that's their names.
Oh, those
My
little
two
crabs.
bastard children. They're cute.
What?
Gonna blow.
The sunglasses.
Professor Plum. Is
From
he in
Clue?
Yeah.
Flash at Demon Head. If that name sounds familiar to you, viewers, and you're sure that you've never played this obscure, poorly sold NES game, that's because it is the name of the band that one of the Evil X's is from in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Anyway, none of that's important. What's important is Billy Big Bang Blitz, who is here because he shoots things and has a jetpack and is from a game that I didn't know existed. I was looking up obscure Nintendo characters, came across this guy, and said, you know what? That's number 5 material. That's what I said right then. You know what? That is a solid number 5. And I could barely find any screenshots of this game, which is why none of the pictures are very representative of anything.
That's how I experience restaurants. I go in and I'm just like, this is a solid number 5 material.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go in and you order a number 5, and
Mhm.
you move on with your day.
Exactly.
You kids remember
What?
Guitar Hero?
What? Whoa!
Oh!
Whoa!
Oh, I don't like that. Oh my god! Slash just killed that man.
And he's back.
Whoa! Are you gonna put the
Now, I know
editor?
what you're thinking.
Are you gonna put
I
the
know what
editor
you're
from this
thinking.
commercial in Smash?
I know what you're thinking.
Guitar Hero.
Corey, you're full of shit. Guitar Hero's not obscure, and that may be true, but my
Put the guitar in
stipulation
Smash.
is that the character should not be recognizable by name. And do either of you know who Axel Steele is? Axel Steele
Brutal
is
legend.
one of many playable characters in Guitar Hero who all have names and backstories that we never cared about.
I
because
know.
we just-
I
Because
know who
we
this
just
is.
wanted to play an AC/DC song on Medium and feel kinda cool for once in our lives. But listen to me. Guitar Hero rep in Smash. How about it? Number 3, though.
Slam Masters.
Biff Slamkovich. Biff
He's gonna hit me
Slamkovich.
with this Hokuto no Ken. I don't like that.
Biff Slamkovich is a Russian professional wrestler from the Capcom multiverse who is a tag team partner and student of Mike Hagar, mayor of Metro City.
Oh.
I want to see some pro wrestling moves going down, slamming people with chairs, going off the top ropes, putting people in the camel clutch, the whole 9 yards, the whole thing. Damn it, we need some beef. We need some beef in Smash Brothers.
There's not enough characters who are wider than they are tall.
Exactly. Moving right along.
Oh.
from Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and also Ghoul Patrol. Although I doubt anyone's heard of Ghoul Patrol, I hadn't until I started researching this stuff. We got Zeke and Julie, 2 kids. I think they're kids. I assume. Nobody wears 3D glasses.
Look at them. They're
outside of a
both in their
movie theater.
30s. Why the fuck
Unless-
do they look like Christina V and Bryce Pappenbrook in that picture in the final Smash?
But yeah, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. They got all kinds of wacky weaponry to dispense justice to the zombies. I don't know what I'm saying. Put them in Smash.
Speed whackers, fire extinguishers, bazookas. Out of New York.
I am very curious about what your
Yes?
number 1 will be
Oh, well, you'll find out. Oh, you'll find out.
after
We're
these short
literally on number
messages.
2.
Just
That's
kidding,
what
we're not
they
running
have
ads
for
on this.
This week on the Threshers Roundtable, our panel of daredevils discusses uni-races only for Super NES.
It's like single wheel boarding. Down the track, double roll, fly!
How did you find the two-player action?
Man, I was calling, gaining on the brawl, with ice smack, Flip City.
Ace the dude's time. Blue action, triple flip, bacon in the pan.
Well, it appears then to be totally slamming. Next week, doing triple flips without tossing your crumpets. Good night.
Uniracer.
I hate it.
You ever heard of Uniracers?
I wish I hadn't.
Uniracers is a game known as Unirally in the UK, because apparently they don't have the word racers. I don't know. Where you play as sentient unicycles and do stunt races. Put the unicycle in Smash.
Put
This is
it
a cartridge that I actually own, which is not that impressive, but it's somewhat impressive because there were only like 300k copies ever made. And the reason there were only 300k copies is because after Uniracers / Unirally was released, they got sued. The makers of this game got sued by Pixar because Pixar also made a cartoon with a living unicycle, and wouldn't you know it, their unicycle looked exactly like Pixar's unicycle. Now, Jason, can you tell me what's wrong with that logic?
Is it perhaps the fact that unicycles have, I think, one shape that they can be?
That is exactly correct.
Is this like...
But regardless, Pixar won that lawsuit because, and after the initial run, all production of Uniracers / Unirally had to be halted. And to my knowledge, the company that made Uniracers, with the name I've spaced, I apologize, but I've forgotten the name of the studio. But they never released a game since, because they got screwed over hard by Pixar. I have a confession to make to you people. Psych! None of that matters. I was just kidding about Uniracers.
What?
Uniracer was going to be my number 1, but I got to thinking, and I got to realizing that unicycles are for clowns.
Oh shit, it's your boy, what up?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I like
And
where
yeah.
this is going.
Uniracer and Smash would be pretty funny, and I've been known to make a funny every once in a while.
That image is fucking funny.
But Jason,
What?
tell me, what is better than funny?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, they're fucking sexy. Anna, get your gun. Got him. Cora, if we ever get in the shootout, I get the dress.
Now, Jason, I heard what you said during that video, and yes, they do look like an assist trophy. And when I was starting this presentation, when I started making this presentation, I was like, okay, Clint and Annie from Wild Guns are gonna be an assist trophy. But the more I got into it, the more I got to thinking, I would be way more excited to hear that they made it into Smash than anybody on my top 10. Uniracer, I'm sorry, but you're trash. You're garbage. Have a good night, everyone. Play Wild Guns.
Let's get into it. I've loved cartoons, alright? Ever since I was a little kid watching cartoons on my parents' shitty old TV. From the good old days when I was really young, from watching Tom and Jerry with my dad, to even today, where the 5 most recent shows that I have or am currently watching are as follows: Little Witch Academia, She-Ra, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Miraculous Ladybug, and Rising of the Shield Hero. Cartoons have always been my preferred form of media. I watched them on every network I could get my grubby little baby hands on, watching shows on Toonami, to Fox Kids, to both the Disney Afternoon reruns and Disney XD. But for the best cartoons the world had to offer, you really had to go seek out the 2 kings of cartoons growing up. The first one was Nickelodeon. Now, I gotta pay respects where respects are due. Nickelodeon has created some of my favorite cartoons. In fact, I should do an entire top 10 list of shows that I enjoy from this network. This network is for fucking babies, alright? It's a baby network. Nickelodeon has no good shows. They'd have nothing that could even compare to something like, I don't know, Lazy Town. And if Nickelodeon doesn't have anything on par with Lazy Town, then why is this network even worth talking about? If I can't spend an hour talking about Robbie Rotten and his 3 bastard sons, Bobby, Tobby, and Flobby, yes, those are their names, I looked it up, then this network belongs in the trash. Cartoon Network, on the other hand, only has masterpieces. Cartoon Network is so fucking good, they would go on to Nickelodeon just to tell you how fucking good they were.
Hurry up! We're not even supposed to be on this channel.
Cartoon Network is. Ooh, hey, pretty mama.
Do you know how good you have
What
to
a
be
Chad move.
Honestly.
to go on to a rival network and play an ad for your Cartoon Network? This network has nothing but masterpieces, which is why there are only 2 good shows worth talking about. My gym partner is a monkey, and the High Fructose Adventures of the Annoying Orange, starring professional cringe tuber Tobuscus. King tier for the both of them. Now,
SpongeBob voices the monkey.
the problem with the Cartoon Network having so many good shows, there are far too many shows to put on a single top 10 list. Remember back in my Nickelodeon top 10 list I did, when I had a section dedicated to the honorable mentions. Since it's only 10 sections, I literally did not have the space to put them in my top 10 list. Unfortunately for me, the Cartoon Network has a lot more shows that I enjoyed growing up and which shaped me as a person, which is why I had to separate my cut section into multiple sections, starting with the Hanna-Barbera section. Now, I was given 2 rules for making this list, for those who don't know. I couldn't have any Adult Swim shows, and I couldn't have any Hanna-Barbera shows. This means no Tom and Jerry, no stuff that's on Boomerang, and unfortunately, no Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which is not only one of the greatest Scooby-Doo things ever created, but just one of the best cartoons ever created. But even sadder than that, I also could not have any Be Cool Scooby-Doo, the show that looks like a Family Guy parody of itself. And perhaps even sadder than that, no Space Ghost.
Yeah, and you're supposed to be dumpster diving for ham scraps, you 6-piece chicken McNobody. Get out of my seat!
Love Space
Next
Ghost.
cut section is the Never Seen section. This is a section dedicated to all the shows that I have either never seen, or shows that I have not seen enough of to give them a fair shake and actually put them on this list. So, We Bare Bears, cut. DC Superhero Girls, cut. Regular Show, cut. OKKO Let's Be Heroes, cut. Infinity Train, Bon Appetit, donut. Teen Titans, sorry, I've only seen the movie. Steven Universe and Steven Universe Future, cut. Though to be fair, from what I've heard, the only good episode of the show is the Uncle Grandpa episode, so it's probably for the best.
Oh, that's true.
The honorable mentions. I genuinely fucking adore every show in this section. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Now, I did enjoy this show growing up, and I wanted to put it on my list, simply for making references to the old Skeleton Dance cartoon, and for also having one of my favorite out-of-context moments.
Please pass the eggs, darling.
Fraggle, Fraggle! Ah! Somebody help me!
Yeah, the whole show is like that. However, if you'll notice here, the show has the Grim Reaper in it, and that's just too scary for me. Next honorable mention is Codenamed Kids Next Door. Now, I know a lot of people are probably upset that I cut this from the list, but my reason that I cut it is because this show's artist interpretation of chickenpox haunts me to this very day. Next up, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, for the singular reason that Blue is just a lesser version of Snap from Chalk Zone. What's this? Courage the Cowardly Dog didn't make the top 10. That's it. I'm getting me mallet. The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. Because literally, what the fuck did I say about things being too scary? I don't like this show. However, in terms of great insults, the show does have one of the best.
Hello, Knuckles. You have a lot of nerve coming in here. You have a lot of nerve being alive.
And the final show to be cut from the top 10 list is Benjamin Tenjamin, which I kicked off the top 10 list for the same reason I kicked Danny Phantom off the Nickelodeon top 10 list. And that is because the art that these two communities create is awful, and I hate it. Number 10. A lot of people like Adventure Time, and a lot of people dislike Adventure Time.
And they're both
Personally,
wrong.
Yes. Personally, I like Adventure Time for a lot of the same reasons I like Jimmy Neutron. Certainly not because the main cast is good. I hate all of them. I'm talking about all them great side characters, baby. I'm talking BMO. I'm talking about Huntress Wizard. I'm talking about Peppermint Patty. I'm talking about Lady Rainicorn, Lemon Grab, that weird old lady from the City of Thieves episode that I ruined my voice every time I try to do an impression of. And of course, Ron Perlman as the Lich.
You forgot about Shelby.
Shut up. Number 9. I mean, we just talked about Jimmy Neutron, so let's talk about the other Smart Boy show, shall we? I certainly enjoy Dexter's Laboratory more than every other show that's just about a smart brainiac being annoyed by a small, obnoxious child. However, every time I try to think about things that I like about this show, my mind just immediately devolves into a never-ending cycle of Dee Dee, you are so stupid! Get out of my laboratory! Over and over again. Before I move on, the dad looks like you, Sam.
I know.
Every cartoon dad looks like Sam.
I know.
Number 8. When I talked about Invader Zim, I mentioned my kind of humor, which I believe I described as unfunny, loud, obnoxious, stupid, and the exact kind of thing that an autistic 23-year-old like me would laugh at. I'm talking about, the Marvelous not you! There. Chowder checks all the boxes of all the things I look for in a comedy show. It is stupid, loud, obnoxious, in your face, unfunny, for autismo children like myself, and most importantly, it's comedy gold. I feel as though Chowder is almost better enjoyed in small, out-of-context doses, which is the singular reason I follow Chowder No Context on Twitter.
We're out of money! We made enough. Talk at the animation bar.
We move on to number 7. Now, I wasn't gonna put this shit on the list because it's terrible, and I hate it so much. But I mean, just look at him. Man, he's pretty. Johnny Bravo is a very good show about a big Chadster who tries to hit on girls and fails every time because he's awful and terrible at everything. This show actually helped launch the careers of Butch Hartman and Seth MacFarlane, who both went on to create good and bad TV shows, respectively. And I'm not going to tell you which one's supposed to be which. When I was researching Johnny Bravo, I found out that there was a Peruvian football player by the name Johnny Bravo. Yes, that's how he spells it. Any show that demands that I, quote, do the monkey with it is worth watching in my book. Number 6. Now, I've already mentioned that I enjoy the humor in Chowder. But let's be real for a second. Ed, Edd n Eddy bear crawled so that Chowder could leisurely stroll. Ed, Edd n Eddy is one of the grandfathers of that weird, screwball, nonsensical, stupid comedy that I love dearly. Is the cul-de-sac really a sort of hell that these children must suffer in for the rest of eternity? Is Plank really just the reincarnation of Aku Aku from the Crash Bandicoot series? I know a lot of people don't like the show. And those people are probably wondering, Jason,
How on earth did this show make it so far up in the top 10? The reason Ed, Edd, and Eddy made it so high on the list is because life has many doors, Ed boy. Number 5. Now I want you to follow me on this one, all right? One of my favorite bands is the Gorillaz. A while back, the Gorillaz released a song called Humility. In a music video for that song, the band's bass player, Murdoch, was not present. Instead, he was replaced by a man named Ace. Ace is from the Gangrene Gang. What's the Gangrene Gang from? Why, the Powerpuff Girls. Who is the main antagonist of the Powerpuff Girls, Corey? It's Mojo Jojo. And what is Mojo Jojo? Why, he is some sort of monkey ape. And do you know what else is an ape? A gorilla. And which band is named after the Gorillaz? That's right, the Gorillaz. Now, do you see what happened here? We have created a circle, or at the very least, a very stupid-looking oval. And that's why Powerpuff Girls is in my top 10. But let's be real for a second. Any show where you can watch a bunch of toddlers beat the shit out of everyone's favorite has-been hotel character at the behest of old man SpongeBob is all right by me. Number 4. Now, when people think of the prequel films, I think most people overall despise Attack of the Clones the most.
Yeah.
With its stupid dialogue and its boring politics, it's not an enjoyable film to watch. Star Wars The Clone Wars seeks to fix some of those glaring issues with the prequel films. I'm talking giving more insight and screen time to the 3 coolest bad guys in the entire Star Wars universe. It gives more insight into Anakin's betrayal of the Jedi Council and his eventual transformation into Darth Vader. It gives a deeper look into Order 66 and the events leading up to that. Not only does the show make the clones more human and likable and distinct, but also deepens their relationship with the Jedi they fight alongside. This show is one of the best things to happen to the Star Wars cinematic universe since the Star Wars Holiday Special, and I love it for that reason. Number 3. Let's be honest with ourselves. Ed, Edd, and Eddy crawled and Chowder walked so that the amazing world of Gumball could fucking sprint.
Yes!
This show has a colorful collection of characters in a multitude of different art styles, blending together into the weirdest fucking show I've ever seen. This show can allow deep emotional moments and surprising commentary about our everyday lives. This show has the best music. This show will just throw a Naruto fight scene at you because fuck you, it does what it wants. This show will bring in outside creators to form my nightmares for the next couple of months. This show is so good. This show is, in fact, too funny. I tried to find a clip to use to exemplify the comedy in this show, and that is a nearly impossible task. Gumball is literally suffering from success. Do I use a heartfelt moment, or some biting commentary on our modern world, or do I just go for the most ridiculous thing I can find? This show has so many good moments that it is damn near impossible to pick just one clip to show you. Instead, what I'm going to show you is a clip from a Twitch stream where one of Gumball's former voice actors reacts to Banjo-Kazooie being put in Smash. Before you ask, Gumball's former voice actor is indeed wearing a Freddy Freaker t-shirt. Number 2. This show deserves to be this high on the list out of respect for Mako alone. But I would actually like to change the subject real quick and talk about Disney.
Okay.
When I talk about my favorite Disney films of all time, a lot of people are surprised to find that Fantasia is very high on my list of movies that I love. It has an incredible ability to tell a simple story through almost no dialogue. Fantasia can tell a wondrous, inspiring story through little more than visuals and sound, which is also something that I love about Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack is certainly much more heavy on story than Fantasia is, but Samurai Jack has never been afraid to let dialogue take a backseat to these incredible, heavy, beautiful, quiet moments that helped move the story along of a samurai lost in time trying to return home and save the future. Genndy Tartakovsky created a masterpiece with Samurai Jack, and it deserves to be this high on this list. Let's start my number 1 off by talking about Avatar. When I think of some of the things I enjoy about Avatar and the world that Avatar builds and the story that it tells, I ask myself a few questions. It's good. It's funny. It can be surreal. It's beautiful. The soundtrack is phenomenal. The characters are likable. They grow. They face a real threat. They can lose. The world can be intimidating. The antagonist is worthy of being called the antagonist. It's got a star-studded cast. There are comics that expand the world, and it makes you feel deep, heart-wrenching emotions. Obviously, Avatar checks all those boxes for me. Now, I want you to think of a show that has all these elements I've previously stated, and is also set during Halloween in Limbo and about 2 hours long. And you're goddamn fucking right! Over the Garden Wall is my #1 Cartoon Network show. Also, before we move on, fuck you, Corey. This totally counts. I fucking love Over the Garden Wall. I remember when I first watched Over the Garden Wall at like 10 o'clock at night on Halloween years ago. I loved it so much that I immediately went out to everyone I knew and demanded that they watch it at knife point, which is something I have only done for 5 animated works total. These 5 things you see on screen are the only 5 things where I've loved them enough that I immediately demanded everyone else watch them. Now, you might not be convinced that this show should be #1, but let's go back through that list, shall we? Is it funny? Yeah. Is it surreal? Most of the time. Is the soundtrack phenomenal? It's the best soundtrack. I own the soundtrack. Are the characters likable? Very much so. Do the characters grow? They sure as sugar do. Do they face a real threat? Can they lose? They sure as sugar can. Can the world intimidate you? More than you could possibly understand. Is the antagonist scary? Does it have a star-studded cast? Boom! Are there comics to expand the world? I own at least one of them. Is it beautiful? I could not fit any more on here, and boy, I wanted to. Does it make you feel? Yes. Is it good? Yes. Now, I've probably raised a few eyebrows by comparing Over the Garden Wall to Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I'd like to clear the air really quickly, if I may. Is Over the Garden Wall better than Avatar: The Last Airbender? Survey says no, not really. However, have I seen Over the Garden Wall more times than I've seen Avatar? Yes. Am I more likely to recommend Over the Garden Wall to someone who's never seen it before than I am to recommend Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yes. If I had to make a tier list of every single cartoon that I've ever seen from every single network that I've ever watched, would Over the Garden Wall be my #1 show? Yes. But I don't want to end this presentation on a sour note by pitting 2 great shows against each other. So right here, real quick, at the end of my presentation, I'd like to discuss something with you, and that something is my King tier. Now, my King tier, for those who don't know, is something I started back in my Philips CDI tier list presentation, where I ranked all 193 games for the Philips CDI. And I did so as a way to jokingly put The Joy of Sex, a game that should have no right to exist, a tier above my actual list of S-tier CDI games. And ever since then, I've been filling it out with every stupid, nonsensical, idiotic thing I could think of. But I want you to know that I despise literally every fucking thing that appears on this list. If there are 2 shows that are worthy of being called kings, it's these 2. But how can I put them in the King tier if my actual King tier is full of detritus and trash? How do I solve this conundrum? While my regular tier list will always be full of war criminals that deserve the death penalty, my one true King tier list will always be the home of my 2 #1 shows from my 2 favorite Cartoon Networks. And that's where the fucking presentation ends. Go home. Good night.